My dad called the night before my surgery. Don't expect us to visit. You brought this on yourself. The anesthesiologist was explaining the risks. My phone lit up. Dad calling. I almost let it go to voicemail. But Dr. Lillian Kerrigan paused mid-sentence. 32 years practicing anesthesiology at Boston Memorial. She had kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. The type of person who actually cared. Take it, she said softly. Family's important before major surgery. I answered on the third ring. Stepped into the hallway outside the pre-op consultation room. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in that sickly hospital glow. Makes everyone look half dead already. Nathan. My father's voice was cold, clipped. Not the voice of a man calling to wish his son well, before having his chest cracked open. I'm calling because your mother insisted. But I want to be clear. Don't expect us to visit tomorrow. The line went dead. I stood there in the hallway. Phone pressed to my ear, listening to silence. A nurse walked past, pushing a medication cart. Somewhere down the corridor, a machine beeped steadily. My hands started shaking, not from fear of the surgery, from the casual cruelty of those words. You brought this on yourself. I was 31 years old, about to undergo emergency valve replacement surgery. My heart was literally failing, and my father had just told me I deserved it. I'd been living with unexplained symptoms for 6 years. Started small, easy to dismiss. Fatigue that lingered no matter how much I slept. Shortness of breath climbing stairs. Heart palpitations like a fish thrashing in my chest. I was 25, working as a software engineer in Cambridge, running 3 miles every morning before work. Young, healthy, invincible. When I mentioned the exhaustion to my parents, Sunday dinner at their Newton estate, my mother waved it off. You work too much, sweetheart. That's what happens when you stare at screens all day. My father, Arthur Whitmore, CFO of Whitmore Capital Management, barely looked up from his ribeye. Your generation doesn't understand what real work looks like. By 27, I was seeing doctors regularly. My primary care physician, Dr. Raymond Okonkwo, Nigerian immigrant, medical degree from Johns Hopkins, 15 years of family practice experience, ran every standard test. Blood work came back normal. EKG showed minor irregularities, nothing alarming. Probably stress, he said, though his expression suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. Try meditation, cut back on caffeine. I followed his advice religiously. Quit coffee, started therapy, practiced yoga. The symptoms got worse. My younger sister Olivia noticed first. 28, pediatric nurse at Children's Hospital. Always been the empathetic one. We met for lunch on a Saturday, October 2022. Small cafe in Harvard Square. I'd walked 3 blocks from my apartment, arrived winded, sweating despite the cool autumn air. Jesus, Nathan, she said, standing to hug me. You look terrible. I collapsed into the chair across from her, heart still racing from the walk. Not really sleeping. The palpitations are getting worse. She frowned, reached across the table to feel my pulse. Her fingers pressed against my wrist, counting. After 30 seconds, her frown deepened. Your heart rate is elevated. Have you told Dr. Okonkwo? I nodded. He says it's anxiety. Olivia pulled back, her nurse instincts clearly screaming something different. Nathan, this isn't anxiety. You need a cardiologist. That conversation changed everything. Olivia pushed me to see Dr. Parara, chief of cardiology at Massachusetts General Hospital, 43 years old, credentials covering an entire wall of his office. He ordered an echocardiogram, stress test, Holter monitor. The results came back in early November. Dr. Parara called me personally, asked me to come in immediately. His office overlooked the Charles River, boats frozen in their slips for winter. He didn't make small talk. Mr. Whitmore, your mitral valve is severely prolapsed. The regurgitation is causing your heart to work 3 times harder than it should. He paused. Frankly, I'm surprised you're still conscious most days. The medical terminology washed over me, but the core message landed like a punch. My heart was failing, had been failing for years. How long? I asked. How long have I had this? Dr. Parara pulled up my echocardiogram images on his computer, pointed to the valve's abnormal movement. Based on the degree of damage and your symptom timeline, I'd estimate this has been progressing for at least 5 to 6 years, possibly longer. 6 years. 6 years of being told I was stressed, anxious, dramatic. 6 years of my parents dismissing my symptoms as weakness. Is it genetic? I asked. He nodded slowly. Mitral valve prolapse can be hereditary. Yes. Then he asked the question that made everything shift. Does anyone in your family have a history of heart conditions? I thought about family medical history, realized I knew almost nothing. My parents had always been intensely private about health matters, and that's when I understood there was something they'd been hiding. Full story is linked below or on my channel.